One of the things I shared with you yesterday, I received a really nice handwritten note from Ed Pease, and Ed was the chairman before I was, and really was involved when Trail Crew got started.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent me a note just to say, hey, thanks for what you've been doing, but more importantly, what he said in the note was really what you just said. He said, this project, overall, all summer, has not only transformed the way people look at the Order of the Arrow and the Boy Scouts, but it's transformed the way we look at ourselves, which I think was the whole purpose of the project to begin with. The benefit has been that other people view us differently.
Right.
And so that's been very, very beneficial. And as I think about it, you know, the hardest part I've had over the summer at each of the sites is showing up and then recognizing, because you and I both know how much work's involved having done this, but showing up to the site and getting a thank you or whatever else, and then think to myself, all of these folks here pulled this off. All of these folks have been working for months and years to do this. So the hardest part for me has been to be able to say thank you to people and let them know I really do appreciate and understand how much work's been involved. And I know last night it was evident as we went through the recognitions. I think people really said, hey, this has not only been a great event, but people really have appreciated it, and that made it all worthwhile.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, as I think about it with each of you guys, as we went through the list and said, okay, who's going to take each list, each one of the sites, and go through the list, and we all laughed about it taking 1 hour a week as a volunteer, which is the old standing gig.
Sure.
You know, I look back on that and think we had no idea about it. And we had no idea of the outcome. We had no idea how it was going to change us personally and how it was going to change the Boy Scouts. I really do think it has, because we've had Bob Mazuka here this week. Bob was blown away from every indication. We had Gail Kimball here, and she's here this morning from the Chief of the Forest Service. She's absolutely blown away by this. And the involvement of the leadership of the BSA and the Forest Service, I think, has demonstrated that the partnership concepts we were hoping would work, and all the things we had to work through, have really paid off. And you've been an instrumental part in that at each of the sites that we've worked at. The incident commander really was the interface for the BSA with the forest, and it's made all the difference, and I just want to tell you thanks.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate it, but, you know, my job was just to put people in the right spot, and my command staff and their staffs, they did it all. We have been planning for about 3 years, but the last 7 months we've been having, you know, weekly, bi-weekly conference calls, and the last 2 months, every Sunday evening for an hour and a half, we've been on the phone working through issues with the Forest Service and amongst ourselves, and that has certainly paid off. But it really comes down to get a committed volunteer who's capable, give them a job to do, and let them go do it. And that's our philosophy in the Order of the Arrow. We've done that at National Order of the Arrow conferences, and I think we've done that here.
I think so.
People focused on what's important, and what's important is not our individual experiences. It's how do we affect the lives of one Scout. When I met with the staff early on, I talked about the concept of one. You know, we're one staff. We're not a logistics staff. We're not an operations staff. We're one staff, and we're one project. ArrowCorps5 is one project. We deliver it at 5 different locations, but it's one project. The Bridger-Teton, yes, we have 3 different locations where we're providing service, but it's one project. And it's all focused on changing the lives of one Scout. If we've done that, we've accomplished our goal here. And focused on the participant, the people that are coming, that's really, you know, what we strive to do, during this project. And I think we've been successful.
I do too. I'm just terribly pleased by everything that's happened this summer, and the expectations we had for this have been far exceeded. Way beyond what I think, even hoped and dreamed would happen.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I was hoping we would get all this work done, and as fast as the Order of the Arrow members completed it, I was blown away.
I was too.
And the Forest Service was blown away. But if we had another week,
don't want to say that very loud.
I think they would. They'd be going nuts.
I think so too. Well, that's great. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, I just think, Brad, you've done a tremendous job in facilitating all of us as incident commanders. You took on the types of things that none of us really wanted to take on, the fundraising and gaining and building that support nationally. We would not have been successful without your leadership there. Most of the incident commanders, we just want to go out and have fun and do these projects. But you and the team that you had around you working on that allowed us to concentrate on building those relationships with the forest, building our team, focusing on the work to be accomplished. And so, it's a great partnership. I think all of the incident commanders would, go back and say, when you look at team, it means together everyone accomplishes more. Right. And I think that's really the great thing about the Order of the Arrow and how we've approached all these projects. Yeah. Together we accomplish more than just trying to do it by ourselves.
I agree. One of the things when we sat down as a team, small group of us, we kept scratching our head about was how are we going to have the continuity? How are we going to have the guys that you need for these young guys to look up to and the adults to respect? If you're going to have crew leaders that you're going to have to select, or squad leaders at each of the sites, how are we going to do that? I don't remember exactly how we came up with this, but we're all sitting around saying, gee, we ought to have a group that we just use there all summer.
Absolutely.
And then we said, oh, that'll cost us a lot of money. And then how are we going to
Well, that's why you had to go out and raise it.
That's true. But just talk about how beneficial it's been to have continuity through the instructor corps and the value these guys have brought.
Well, absolutely. None of the projects could have been successful without the I-Corps. And I think as those of us that have been involved in OA High Adventure, looking at OA Trail Crew, looking at the voyage, and just singling those two out specifically, because that's really the root of where we were able to grow from. The success of those programs on changing how people look at themselves, how they look at service, how they look at the brotherhood, happens because of the foreman and the assistant foreman that are out there on the lakes or in the trails, whether they're doing the conservation or they're doing their hiking. And so our goal in this was to try to replicate that experience for the youth and adults that were coming here. The only way to do that was to go out and get people that had that experience. So when we look at the instructor corps, they're individuals that for the most part came through the Wilderness Voyage or the Philmont Trail Crew program. They know how to build a team. Technically, they know how to build trail and move dirt and do all that other stuff. But pulling the team together is really what makes the difference. And so if our goal was to try to replicate that experience for the 40-year-old adult or the 15-year-old youth, we needed to have people that could do that. That's not something you can just pick up in a week or 3 days before and have it really be a life-changing experience.
Exactly.
So by hiring the I-Corps and being able to move them from site to site allowed us to deliver a consistent program, a consistent message across all the 5 different components. As I said earlier, it's one project. And so we want the person who went to Manti La Salle to have the same type of life-changing experience as someone here at the Bridger-Teton. The I-Corps allowed us that continuity of being able to talk about what we're doing, why we're doing it, why you, why now. That type of a program and a philosophy had to be implemented with a group like the I-Corps.
I agree. And the other thing that we really benefited from with the I-Corps is that by pulling those 42 together, the partnership we've established over the years with Philmont really benefited that project, because the guys in the instructor corps were able to work at Philmont, be trained there, based there, and then move in and out. So between Keith Galloway saying to us, hey, we want to do this, and Mark Anderson working with us, and Gene Schnell, of course, from the committee, coordinating all this. It's been just a terrific summer. I know we wore them out the first 3 weeks back to back because it was actually 5 weeks together, but they've just done a marvelous job this summer, and I couldn't be prouder of them.
Yeah,
I think they've done a great job.
I absolutely believe that they did a great job and continue to do a great job, and we as members of the National Committee and friends of of them,
many of them,
we're really proud of them.
Absolutely.
They've made a difference. They've changed the Order of the Arrow history.
Yeah, I agree. Good.